morning. Welcome here to the 35th CALLERLAB convention. Today is March the 17th, so happy St. Patrick's Day. Good afternoon now. Good afternoon. So anyway, my name is Tim Marriner, and you're in the session that is entitled Simple Sight. And I'm going to be your moderator. We have Mr. Daryl Clendenin as a panelist, a certified accredited collar coach. Let's give him a nice hand. As we are going to cover a few items on sight calling, and we're going to kind of discuss methods of sight before extemporaneous calling, and I think Daryl then's going to go more into some easy ways of doing extemporaneous calling. So if it's all right, I'll just go ahead and I'll start with, and then we're going to pass the mic. We have some bibs, you call them bibs, that will probably have a square up here involved and whatnot, and then we'll have some questions. We'll have time at the end for questions and comments too as we go along. So with that, please, as the session is going, if you have a question, identify yourself, name and where you're from, and make sure it's on this microphone so that we don't have any dead spots in the audio portion of this if someone were to purchase it. One of the things that I think that we take for granted when we start talking about sight calling and methods is we're looking for a way to move dancers. And we're trying to get the dancers to have some sense of flow to the dance, and you want to move them so that they're dancing with other people and not just one person, their partner, and that's it. Years ago, they had the memorized routine, visiting things, and you didn't need any form of sight calling. It was all memorized. And in order to move dancers, you really need to know that there are traffic lanes and patterns and places and ways to maneuver the dancers. Years ago, they had the chicken plucking module, and that was one of the avenues of going left and right or north and south on the grid of a square, and being able to move the people around the outer perimeter and dance with other couples. And as long as you're aware of how to do and utilize simple modules, the magic modules, the conversion modules, and those sorts of things, the next step is to how do you introduce and how do you start getting into this sight calling method. And there's some very easy ways of doing it before you start into this big, long equation and formula of how to maneuver dancers through, and then do I key them up with the number one man in the corner and everything like that. So we've had sessions in the past discussing what to do before sight calling, sight before resolution, if you will. And what we're trying to touch upon here are elements for easy ways or methods to be able to resolve squares or to resolve a set or wherever you're in. And one of the earliest written methods was a isolated sight, was a burn image, one couple sight. And if you can take a new caller and work with them, or anybody that's for that matter, and say, okay, you know that after square through they're standing in front of a corner. And right there, if you were to take a picture of that coupling, and you let them dance in two couple arrangements, and then put them back on the same footprints as they started, then I can resolve to some get out with the module that I have memorized, whether it's Alaman left, box the net and pull by to a left and right grand, or anything, whatever it is that you have already memorized. You can move them into that same footprint spot, resolve the square. Now, I know Daryl likes to work with Sicilian circles. And that's a great place for practicing this method, this first easy step of getting involved into sight calling, because you move the couples, couple them up, move them on to the next group, move them on to the now with a square. You don't have that capability of necessarily moving them on to the next group, but you certainly can sight on this side, use a chicken plucker, and sight on the other side, use the chicken plucker and bring them back very quick, keeping the routine short. And now you have control of the floor. The other method that was also associated with simple sight would be a isolated method, oftentimes talked or discussed about a rubber band approach. As I know Jack Lazary would say, you put a rubber band around these 4 people, keep them connected, move them anywhere around the square. As long as they're connected, you don't break the rubber band. And then you know that you can put them back in the same formation and arrangement and sequence state and be able to resolve. And if you've never done that type of calling before, it's fascinating to try it. And I always have encouraged folks to do that when it's even new callers, to get a chance to try it, to practice that approach once during an evening to see how it works. And the more you use those types of methods, the easier it becomes yours. Now, when we start discussing full extemporaneous sight calling, again, the more you utilize it, the easier it becomes. And it's a situation where if you have the capabilities of maneuvering the dancers around the entire set and what have you, you have to be prepared. Know ahead of time what your plan of action is before you get on that microphone. And one of the things I highly recommend is, what's your plan of attack? Well, if you don't have a plan, then you better sit down. You're not ready yet. And then what's your plan of attack is the question I ask. And if you can say, I'm going to start off with an opener routine, something memorized. Then I'm going to maneuver the square to a partner relationship, do a little isolated sight with this group, and then resolve. Great. You have a plan of action. You can call this next little routine. Let's go. So have a plan of action. Know where you're going. It doesn't make any sense. You think I'm headed west to just get on a highway and go to California. We had to follow road maps and routes to get there. Just can't get to point A to B. So have that plan of attack. If we have a square on the floor, I think I'd like to just show you, if you've never seen those two, and then we can go in right into the full extemporaneous calling. So can we get a square of a set of volunteers? Hey, 29, you need about 3, about 3 and a quarter, need about 1. Hey, you still need 1 right up front here? Come on in. All right. I like this because you make sight calling very easy, that you have matched outfits. That is great. Oh, that wouldn't that wouldn't help. Okay. Yeah. Very good. They match too. Okay. So just for our envision, if we can take the set and rotate it clockwise one quarter, please. To the left. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm doing that because I want you all to be the callers, and I'm outside of the square. I want you're standing on the stage calling to this group, and I want you to envision what I see. Okay? We have right here 2 wearing jean coats or jackets, okay? And I see they're tall, and there's going to be very easy to memorize it. And over here, we have the same shirts, the color shirts are going to be very easy to resolve, and that's not a problem. Okay. But when I get up to call, and I'm going to do some sight calling now, I have to know, well, what type of sight calling? If it's just, okay, I'm going to do the easy 1 couple thing, then I don't have to worry about 2 couples and memorize them or write it down on a sheet of paper. If I'm going to do and utilize full extemporaneous sight calling, I better make note of who my primary and secondary couples are. If I don't, I'm in a world of hurt as I just start calling. Okay, so heads, if you'll step into the center and turn and look at your corner for a moment. All right, so right now, I can really see that if I take a picture of this couple here, I call anything and bring these nice shirts together, I can resolve to an Alaman spot. Everybody agree with that? Okay, so swing through, spin the top, single hinge, walk and dodge, girls a U-turn back, split circulate. Let's do this. Walk and dodge again. Okay, why not? Do a partner trade just for now. Now look, I'm at the point where I've called plenty. Now I need to resolve. And you need to know what's going to pair couples up. What calls pair couples up, which calls separate. partners. Now, I'm in a situation where I know that a call slide through will pair up the partner, this couple here. I also know that I can call a reverse the flutter wheel, and that will bring them back and actually put them back in a pairing. Now, some would question the tightness of the set, but we have allow some square breathing, and it could occur. But we can get there the easy way. Slide through and circle 4 3/4 of the way around. And I've done all I need to do because I've put them right back on that spot. The shirts are still paired. I can resolve to an Alaman. I can do the same thing if I was in lines. And as long as I would get them back, and I now have a line resolution set up. I have some module that I want to use. Okay? Let's go on to the next method, which is the rubber band thing. Anything you want to add to that? So, all right, very good. So, from here, we're now going to utilize what I refer to and what others have as a two-couple approach, where you're watching two couples, isolated the two couples, and as long as I bring them back so that this couple here is on the outside with their shirts on the outside of an 8-chain setup, I can resolve. So let's do this. Swing through. So far I haven't changed anything. They're all together. Boys run. They're all together. Couples circulate. They're all together. They're just in this side of the box over here together. Ferris wheel. They're still together. Double pass through. They're still together. Cloverleaf. Wait, they're still together because I still have a rubber band around this whole column over here, aren't they? Okay? Do a double pass through. Leads, do a U-turn back. Touch a quarter. Centers trade. Now, there are calls that will stretch the rubber band, but the end result brings them back. Scoot back, stretches the rubber band, but I know the end result does bring them back together again, all in that same group. That line. Boys run. Pass through, please. Bend the line. Now, I've called a lot, and I need to now resolve. Or I notice there's a square that's broke down. There's another reason why I want to come to a quick resolve. I know that all I need to do, since I've brought this group and moved them around the square, I just need to put these nice shirts on the outside. They'll be paired up in a normal arrangement, and I can resolve with some get out. So let's slide through. And I can now do a circle 4 halfway around again. Or anything to put them out there together, paired up in a standard arrangement, in a zero arrangement, if you will. And I can now call Alaman left, or I have some get out. And it could be on any quadrant of the square. Right now we started with them over here in my right, which would be, let's just call it east, or as you're looking at it, east, and now they're in the west, and I can move them north and south on this same grid. And as long as I rotate that whole square around, I can resolve.
They'll hit the table.
Sorry?
They'll hit the table.
They would hit the table. They'll have to be in the aisle a little bit, too. All right. Any questions about that? If you don't utilize either one of those two methods, start with that and try a little bit of it. We do workshop sessions before our dance groups for the new dancers, for those who might have missed a week. And we do two-couple calling, make them be head couples. And it's amazing the amount of material you can call to them. And you have to be very creative, even if you have a limited list. But if you were to do your homework, look at the program sheet and highlight the calls that are restricted with more couples than 2, which would be, in other words, it takes 4 couples to do a certain call, then you'd be surprised that there's just a few of them, maybe 8 or 9. The rest of them are all 2-couple actions that you can work with 2 couples and have a lot of creative fun doing that. Okay? Do you want to start off with some easy extemporaneous? Let's pass it. Yep, we'll pass this to Daryl. Daryl?
Tasting.
1, 2.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Oh, what you got presented, whatever.
Well, I don't know. Give him a nice hand. I think that was fantastic. Relax for a minute. Sit down, in other words, for a minute. I'll call you again in a minute. All right. Just to say, this thing sounds punky. Does it sound punky to you? That sound better?
Yeah.
Does to me too. Wonder why that is. Maybe they've got full bass on the MA150, you suppose?
That's it.
Okay. Anyway, let me say just a couple things. The last thing you want to do when you're calling is Alaman left. Right? The name of the dance is not Alaman left. The name of the dance is square dancing. Now you talk about extemporaneous sight calling. That's what I didn't know what it was. I really don't know what that means. I really don't. Because unless you already know how to move the dancers some way, you're not going to stand up there and make it up as you go. If you're going to do that, it's going to be a lousy dance. Because if you don't already know ahead of time the end result of what you're calling, you're going to have to stand there and wait for them to get there before you can make the decision of what to call next. Is that right? Now, this session is not on how to do that. This is how to use a few basics, simple basics, in order to resolve. Now, he did a really good job of showing you two of the methods, isolated sight and burned image sight. But did you notice something very, very obvious about both of those? Two couples. He could have had two couples sit down and done everything with just the two couples, couldn't he? You resolve with two couples always. I don't know of anybody. Does anybody do a four-couple sight resolution? I don't even know how you would do that. Everybody does it the same way. You get two adjacent couples, and you dance the dancers. Then you go to two possible Alaman formations. What are they? Somebody said a zero box, which is one of them. What would the other one be? A formation. Lines? No. For the Alaman left. Trade by formation. Those are the two formations that we do an Alaman left in, excuse the preposition, in which we do an Alaman left. You do it in a trade by formation or you do it in a zero box formation. That's it. In normal choreography, there are no other formations in which you do an Alaman left. You can call an Alaman left in lines. What do they do the minute they want to execute it? They turn away from the lines either into a zero box or the same trade by formation that you'd get if you had zero lines said head slide, or from zero line slide through square through 3. There's your formation for your Alaman left. What is it? It's a trade by formation. So don't be looking for a lot of different formations. Accept what we have. You have two formations in which we do an Alaman left. The mechanics of Alaman left, which is what I hope I'm not making this confusing. Two arrangements in which we do an Alaman left. I'm talking phaser now. Formation, arrangement, sequence, and relationship. Two arrangements in which we do an Alaman left. One is back-to-back with their partner, or they're both back-to-back with their partner and facing the corner in the 8-chain through, or back-to-back with their partner with their corner either facing or alongside in a trade by. One sequence in which we do an Alaman left, which is what? In. If you're not in sequence, you wind up having one couple have to promenade home after the other couples are already there and passing by, right? No problem. Only one relationship state. And that's allemande left. The corner is going to have to be just clockwise from you and the partner here. So, with that said, and knowing that everything is two-couple resolution, even if you've got four couples out there, could I have two couples up here, please? Tim said that I like to teach in the Sicilian circle. Sicilian circle is a two-couple circle around the hall. The reason, well, there are a lot of reasons I like to teach in the Sicilian circle, but I like to recommend teaching that way for my new callers because it simplifies resolution techniques. The resolution techniques being how you move the dancers to where you want them, right? Before you move them on. I like that part of it. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use 3 of these. Now we'll just use the 2 of them for a moment here. We'll get to the other in another moment. Give me some calls. Dance them. Before we do, though, notice these 2 are together or those 2 together. It doesn't make any difference, right? We want to zero them back. So, boys walk, girls dodge. Single hinge, girls trade. Boys cross fold. Touch a quarter. Scoot back. Boys run. How far away from zero are they? One call. What is it? What is it? 2 ladies chain. Join hands, circle left 1 quarter. How far away from zero are we? How many movements? What are they? How about, they won't be zero, because unless they're back where they started, they won't be zero. You could circle left 3 quarters if you want, or right 1 quarter. Let me say this. Get back to zero from where you started. The furthest, let's say that you've got a beginner class, you want to keep it simple, you still need to be able to resolve. Would you say that if you could do it with 2 ladies chain, right and left through and star through, you could resolve anything from facing couples, no matter what they got into? Would that be simple enough? Would that be early enough in the lessons to take care of the problem? 3 movements. Circle left 1 quarter, please. Right and left through. 2 ladies chain. Star through. That's one of them. Circle 4 halfway. How far away are they? Right and left through. Circle 4 3 quarters. How far away are they? 2 movements. 2 ladies chain. Star through. Now understand, if you have flutter wheel and you have recycles and you have swing throughs, there's lots of different ways of doing it, but we're talking simple now. This is early on in the lessons, all right? Could we have the ladies chain for just a moment, please? All right. From here, now we still have the same zero we had. Circle left 1 quarter. Here's one other possibility. 2 movements, right? Right and left through. Star through. You're zero. The ladies swap again, please, if you would. You don't have chain. Don't have courtesy turn. Just swap, please. Circle left halfway. Here's another possible situation. How far are you? What are they? Right and left through. 2 ladies chain. Okay, ladies swap one more time, please. Circle left 3 quarters. How far away are you? Star through. That's all of your possibilities. You're not going to run into any other possibilities that you can get with two couples, two facing couples like this. Those are all the combinations. You have 8, one of them being a 0. You have 7 others. They can be resolved with no more than 3 movements. Those 3 movements would involve a partner change. One would be a sequence change. The other would be a facing direction change. Your partner changing movement would be the 2 ladies chain. Your sequence would be the right and left through. The facing direction would be the star through. That's what's going to change you from an east-west to a north-south. That just takes care of all the problems. Once you understand that, then you can call anything that you want. Touch quarter, please. Walk and dodge. You turn back. If you know that they have sashayed, box the net. Right and left through. You have facing couples. You want to resolve. What's it going to take? 2 ladies chain. Star through. End of story. Now, what's the difference between doing what I'm doing here or having the other 2 couples over there? No difference. You're still going to resolve to 2 couples, aren't you? If you have 4 couples, you still have 2 couples to resolve with. Now, if we could please have the other 2 couples back up and make a square. Am I taking too much time? Do we have any questions on what I just covered before we get away from that? One more couple, if you would, please. Okay. Yeah, yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's not going to matter to them either.
It may matter to Jimmy.
All right. We don't need the numbers. We don't need the numbers now. Please put these on. I have a perfect shirt. Did you want to do something with this before we?
No, I want to watch. No. Just ask some questions and go on.
No questions? I am so thorough. Did you notice that? All right. We don't need the numbers. The numbers really aren't important. What is important to me is that I have recognizable couples. Join hands, circle left, a quarter, please. It doesn't really make any difference where they are in the square as long as I know that. Hello. Oh, that's so much better than it was. As long as I know that these 2 are corners. I know that if I get these 2 together, one of the things that happens automatically for me when I resolve is not going to be any problem at all. And that one thing is sequence. I don't worry about sequence because I know if I get everything else set up and bring them together, sequence takes care of itself. It's done. Not a problem. You ever dance to one of those callers that always gets you back to your partner, but you're always out of sequence? Promenade, don't slow down. He knows how to fix it, but you know that he goofed up. He knows he goofed up. All right. If you remember your couples as the corners and their partners, remember them that way, you're not going to have that problem. Takes care of itself. Okay, so somebody mix them up. We have 2 Alaman formations that we deal with. One of them is a 0 box. The other one is what? Trade by formation. Right. So heads pass the ocean, extend, swing through, girls circulate, boys trade, boys run, couples circulate, bend the line, pass through, wheel and deal, centers pass through. I can look out there and I can see that the corner has partner. Both corners have their partners. That tells me that my resolution is going to be in the trade by formation. Now, from this point on, I already know where the Allman left is, because I know it's going to be in the trade by formation. And for me, the simple way is to get everybody facing their original partner from here. So, what's it going to take? A partner changing movement. Now, we were using the two ladies chain for the partner changing movement, weren't we? It's going to be kind of awkward here. Anybody else know a partner changing movement? Just one movement. Okay, a star through is not, I should qualify this. I want to keep them in the grid. Flutter wheel is even more crowded than a two ladies chain. How about step 2, wave and recycle? Would you buy that? Recycle being okay, they're all facing their original partner. Now, I'm looking at the corners here. They're back to back. So, I'm not going to be, there's two movements that I'm going to play with, either pass through or square through 3. Will a pass through get them facing their corner? Okay, I can do a square through 3 then, or I could do an equivalent of it, right? Or a known get out from here. How about, would you agree that a square through 3 will get it? How about right and left through? Do this. Veer left. Veer right. They're facing. They're in the trade by formation. Allman left. Now, I'm not going to get into a bunch of get-outs, but I do want you to understand that what I did there was I got to the recognizable phaser, formation arrangement, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then I used a memorized get-out. We do recommend that. The actual resolution was done for me when I decided it was going to be in the trade by formation, what I call a state 2. I call it a state 2 because both of my couples had their partner, 2 of them.
If I can just add one thing or ask, before you get ready to start the tip, what do you look for? What's the plan that you tell yourself? Just that corner, right? Those two
corners and their partners.
And that's so important because, again, before you get up to call, you need to know that I'm going to start that, and that's who you recognize, and then you can start calling. If you get up and start calling and you haven't making or written down or made a note of that, who they are, you're not going to be able to resolve that way.
I call that a state 2 because both have their partners for that resolution. A state 1 would, head couples if you would please, step in and face your corner. This I call a state 1 because this corner has partner, this corner does not. And any time that you're calling, you can stop the square at any time throughout all of your choreography, and you can look down there and you say, it's a state 1 or state 2, or possibly a state 0, in which case neither of the corners would have their partner within the group of 4 with them.
Oh, we have a question.
Almost as much comment. Tom Dillner from Kentucky. Can you put them back where you did before you did the get out? I have a question for you for when you're teaching new callers this concept.
At what point?
Before you did your get out of your square through 3.
Sure. Square your set, please. Heads lead right. Veer left. Bend the line. Did we right and left through? Slide through. It's not exactly, but it might as well be. No, I was right and left through. Sorry about that. Here we are now. There you are.
Okay. The reason I wanted to do it this way, you said we could square through 3 also, and you said you want to pair up. What if you had everybody do a U-turn back?
Everybody do a U-turn back.
The reason I said that, you said you were trying to get the corners together, and the square through 3 would get you to the Allman left. And when you're working with new callers, This is not the same exact setup, I don't think.
Do you turn back?
You had them. You went in a trade by. You had them pass through, didn't you?
Do a right and left through, please. That's why I asked at what point did he want? This is just before he would have done this is where he would do the square through 3. I was all right with what I did before somebody changed my mind on it. This is where they were. This is where I did the right and left through, veer left, veer right.
Your point, Tom, is that a U-turn back would pair up their corners as well as square through 3?
We would pair them up, but
yes.
The get outs that you want.
Wouldn't give you the same get out.
I made a comment about putting the corners together, but you couldn't use your get out.
Okay.
Get out. And a new caller would say, okay, you asked me to put them together.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Didn't mean to confuse the issue. What I meant was, if I get these two to do an Alaman left, I don't have to worry about sequence. Is that what you're talking about? Well, if they do an Alaman left, they need to be in the proper place to do it, but I still won't have to worry about sequence once they do that Alaman left. I would not do a U-turn back and call it Alaman left because it's not set up for it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. How many schools or places have you been to and they've given you a way to get out of a resolution technique that has you with partner pairings and put them on the left end of a line or right end of a line, or use circulates and use waves or two-face lines? Raise the hands of how many use that. Okay? Or not use it, have been shown that right off from the get-go. Okay, now the idea here is it takes a long time to have that pattern memorized. It's a big sequence to have to do. For a newer caller, that's difficult. Fact of the matter is it can be.
It's all difficult for a new caller. It's going to be difficult, gang. This is not an easy thing to do. The mechanics of it are very, very simple. I'm showing you the mechanics of it. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to walk out of here and put it to use. One of the main things that you need in order to become proficient at this is a lot of time on the microphone in front of live dancers looking for it. You have to be able to recognize at what state the square is in. I said there's only two states that are going to resolve an Alaman left. That would be state 1 or state 2. State 1 being in a 0 box. State 2 being in a trade by formation. Square your set, please. Those are the only two that exist. Does anybody know of any other? I'll accept it if you do. I'm asking, honestly. A circle is nothing but what you have right here, or what you have.
Squared set.
A square. Well, it's the same as lines, partner lines, 0 lines, which is a 2. All 0 lines is a squashed in circle, isn't it? Heads lead right, circle to a line.
Don't be tight.
That's all right. They're tough.
Yeah.
Circle left till you get back home. You know, that's all a circle is. You're still going to wind up with everybody with their partners. If these two have their partners, diagonal opposite rule says those two automatically have their partners. That's why we can get away with calling two-couple sight. It's always two-couple resolution. Always. Because of the diagonal opposite rule. Whatever happens to these two couples automatically happens to the other two couples. We don't have to worry about those, right? So, head stepping, look at your corner, please. 5 minutes. Trying to teach all this stuff in such a short time. Swing through. Give me a movement. A turn through. Okay, turn through. Trade by. Sloppy dancing. Touch a quarter. Split circulate. Single hinge. Girls trade. Look out there. Look at this wave here. You don't have to look at those over there. How many of these people could find their partner in this wave? One. One of them. It's right here. This one's partner is not in this wave. I call that a state 1. I know that I have all of the elements for an Alaman left. I know I'm going to get it. I know I am. And I can look here and I can see the corners that are in here. All I have to do is make sure that they're on the outside, they're in the middle without moving anybody across a set. And I'm going to have an Alaman left. Recycle. I love a recycle. Slide through, but do it twice, please. Alaman left. DHB. Drag her back. Got that.
Back. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Careful. Yeah. I don't know. He asked what color that was on the CALLERLAB set list, the DHB. That's for the tape. Okay. Really, other than a situation where nobody has their partner, side ladies chain. Heads step in, look at your corner if you can stand it. Good. All right. Now, look at either two-couple set. Can anybody find their corner or their partner in that two-couple set, I should say? Their partner? No? I call that a 0. That's a 0 state for resolution. Period. There's no way without changing partners and moving somebody across that you're going to be able to make an Alaman left. Ladies, just swap places if you would, please. We won't go through an actual partner changing movement. Pass through, trade by. Not the same thing. Within their two couple facing couples, how many can be paired up? All of them. And I said the next thing I would want to do if I was headed fast to an Alaman left is get everybody facing their original partner. Are they? We don't worry about you. You don't have any bibs on. I know it. I know. But look at the difference in experience here. Unfortunately, the tape is not going to have the benefit of any of this joviality that's going on. Anyway. Yes, a pass-through will do, won't it? Alaman left. The trick is to be able to look out there and see which state it's in. But you can, promenade home, please. You can stop the square at any time that I'm calling and figure out it's going to be one of those 3 states. 4 ladies chain 1/4. Do it, please. Head star through and spread. Oh my gosh, a plus movement. Star through. Centers pass through. What's the state of the square? It's a 2.
Confusion.
Isn't it?
No.
Yeah. Touch quarter. Walk and dodge. Partner trade. Reverse your flutter wheel. Nothing has changed. They're still all right there. Pass the ocean. End circulate. It's changed. What is it now? It's a 1. One with, the other one without in that wave right there. Girls trade. Recycle. Sweep 1/4 more. Pass through and do a wheel and deal. Zoom. Centers pass through. What is it? Can somebody make it a 0? Step to a wave. Centers circulate. Oh, excuse me. Girls trade. Go ahead. Recycle. Still a 1. Okay, Alaman left. Promenade home. Your square is always very, 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 very close to an Alaman left, unless you've got a 0. You've heard callers say, well, I'm always within 3 movements of an Alaman left. Well, most of the time they're going to be. Because the elements that are necessary in order to get that Alaman left are within 2 couples there most of the time. Now, how are you going to get proficient at moving them around? I like Sicilian circles for teaching. I do it because they don't have two other couples to confuse the issue. I can look out there. I can work them within the limited movements of the new dancers. I can move them on to the next one. Take that snapshot sight that Tim was talking about. Do it again. Pass through. Move on to the next. Do it again and again. If you're just beginning at sight resolution, it's a great exercise, great drill for you. Now, some people like to use that circle to mix the dancers, which is very good. I like to get them back, partly for me, partly for them. If I get them back before they move on, they know they've done it right. That's the same as saying Alaman left in a square after they've been danced for a while. It's their sign of success. So, I'm sure my 5 minutes are up. Give our square a very nice hand, please.
Excellent job. Very good. Now,
and we'll open it up for, we'll need the bibs back. Thank you.
Now, just to reiterate or to add on what Daryl's been saying, a lot of people have come up to both Daryl and I in the numerous schools we've done and said, how can we side call to new dancers if we haven't taught them wheel and deal yet, if we haven't taught them square through 3 or right and left through or pass? How do we side call to those folks? And it's obvious then that they have no clue as to different methods of sight calling. And if all they're doing is trying to plug in to a big line equation or wave equation, a resolution technique, then they do not have a full grasp of how to be able to handle different methods of sight calling and resolution techniques. So just be aware that this makes it very simplified so that you can call to new dancers and sight call to new dancers. Question, name and...
Stephanie Langhoff from California. I mean, this is very interesting, but I think, the techniques are more applicable to mainstream where you keep all the couples normal. My experience is you better normalize people. If you have people sashayed, you better normalize them before you start to resolve. And I mostly call it challenge level with computer squares, so in that situation, you really have to remember 3 pieces of information, your primary couple, your secondary couple, and the corner relationships. You don't get anything free. And so, whatever resolve technique I use, the first thing is to try to make everybody normal before I start. And I don't know, whether or not this applies to this 2-couple and stuff like this, where if you had people sashayed, would you first, boys run or something to normalize them or something like that?
This is a good question. I think I would try to normalize the situation. If you have 2 boys together, 2 girls together, one of the first things I would do if they're in lines, I'd call star through, then we'd have 0 pairings again with couples relationship. And I think we probably do that. That would probably be the first thing that I would do to help the set. And then analyze, am I in a 0 or a 1 or however way you wish to get out?
Yes. Normal. Stephanie, you'll recall that what I said was, now you said you need to remember 3 things, 2 couples and their corner, right? I say remember the corner plus their partners. That gives you the 2 couples. You already know who belongs together as far as the corners. So same thing, just a different way. But yes, normalize things. There's something very normal about Alaman left.
Tom Sellner from Maryland. When I first started, wheel and deal had just been invented. And dancing. We only had 6 lessons. So unless we chained the ladies, we were never very far away. We were either in a 0 box or a 0 line, or we'd gone out of sequence, right? So it was a very easy resolution. If we were in line, all we knew we did, we had to get back to that in sequence line, and then I usually went out of sequence and called a cross trail through, and I resolved. If I was in a box, I probably was either in sequence in the 0 box or out of, I had to switch to the right and left through. So it made it very easy to call. So when the callers are first teaching, that's what they have. If they haven't done a ladies chain, Or if they do one, do a second one all the time, the resolution becomes very easy. So if they with the newer callers, you get them not to chain the ladies and just keep the lady for a while, they can resolve very easily. It's a very easy way to learn the cycle.
Mm-hmm. If I can add to, you probably were shown and have been utilizing a method of pair the number one man with his partner and do that in waves or lines. What this approach is saying is here's a simpler way. Maybe try to pair the number one man with his corner. Once you've done that, then these two states exist. There's a couple paired, there are two couples paired, or there's nobody paired. If there's nobody paired, then you move them to the other pairing to find the pairings, to see if you can get two couples paired again, which you probably can. All right, so the idea, then you put that paired couple around the outside of the set. Boom, you've resolved it however way you wish. So rather than to have to worry about big formulas, you can go this manner.
I will say this. If you have a 0, you can move them across the set and you'll still have a 0. It's going to require a partner changing movement of some kind. And if you have no partner changing movements, if you have no two ladies chain, you're probably not going to need one. So you've got to have some way to get them changed to begin with in order to have change them back.
Some more questions
or something that you'd like to see or explain better, please. Now's the time to do it. I know that sometimes when we're confined to the time period that we are, we don't really get everything across.
But when we worked together, you had a different point of view. You remember when you were talking about ladies? It was been a while. When we taught caller school again. But you basically were looking at the ladies, where the ladies were. It's similar to what you just said. I don't know if you remember. Okay. Let's not go there then.
Any questions?
Are you sure that wasn't mental image? That could have been.
Could have been mental image, too, right. Any other questions? We have time for a few comments. Questions?
Told you, we are so thorough.
Yeah, we're good. Yes. Mike, please.
Rich Real, San Francisco Bay Area. I think I kind of get the rough idea. The part I'm having trouble with is when I teach, I want it to be easy for those that are learning. And that's where I don't quite understand how this is easier to grasp, less memory, blah, blah, blah. Help me understand how this might be easier to teach callers.
You're referring to how to teach callers now, not dancers. Oh. Well, I find it more easy because you not have to memorize a big formula.
You mean as opposed to the line resolution?
Yeah, among others,
yes. I don't know that it's easier to teach callers this than it would be the line resolution. But like a lot of other things, I personally feel that it's more important to learn the mechanics of something if you're a student and be able to apply those and grow from that point on. I think it's important to know that you only have 2 resolution formations, 2 element left formations. I think it's important to know the different pieces that make up those resolutions, the one of them being one couple with their partner in the group of 4, the other one without. This doesn't change from your line resolution. Basically, that's what you do, is you create a situation where you have a number 1. Say, okay, let's get one of the couples paired, put them on the left end of a line, and then do a pass through and a wheel and deal. And if they'll be in the center, zoom, and the one in the center either going to square through 3 or pass through the corner, the classic line get-outs anyway. If that's the only way that you know how to sight resolve, you're going to be doing that over and over and over and over. To me, it would be better to recognize what exists always, and if the floor starts breaking down, say, okay, I need to get out quick, get normal facing couples, you're within 3 movements, and if they don't know very much, like I say, those 3 movements can be as simple as right and left through, 2 ladies chain and star through to get you back to the corner.
We know dancers or callers, rather, who will actually teach a beginner or a new dancer class, and one of their first calls has to be square through because that's how they resolve a square. And so they teach those right off because otherwise they won't have a resolution technique. They got to teach wheel and deal, square through 3, or pass through.
But the simplicity was more a limited number of movements to be able to do it at beginner classes without. I'm not going to say this is the easiest way. I'm going to say, though, that it's not easy. A line resolution is not easy.
It's not either.
Any resolution is not easy. They're simple. The difference is, well,
semantics. It's simplified, is what he's trying to get.
Simple means that, do you understand what I said? Then it's put simply, we haven't had a week of class here to get that message across. The mechanics of it are simple. Can you go home and put it into practice? I doubt it. But if you understand it, you can work at putting it into practice. Is it easy for me? Yes. But I probably called more in 1 year than most of this room is called collectively in the same year. Huh?
My name's Elmer Sheffield, and I just wanted to add, it's me. You have to start sight calling, I think, somewhere. So I think once you start with this simple, the formations as Daryl and Tim have showed us, then the line resolutions and the column resolutions and the other things will fall into place quicker and easier once you start from here. I mean, sure, we've all been taught, the lines, you got to get the partners on the end of the lines or whatever, but I think if you start out with this, keep the two people kind of together and then you expand on it, it becomes easier. That at least it did to me.
You're exactly right. I agree with you. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that I'm not trying to change you from what's already working for you. But if you have a better understanding of what you're doing and why it works, that ain't going to hurt you over the long haul. It's going to open up some other doors for you for resolution.
John Goldenthaler, Pocono Pines, Pennsylvania. We do have one traffic light. When we talk about ease of dancing, it's true what he says that it is simple. But for a new caller who's just starting, probably the most difficult thing is saying, how do I get them into a two-face line if I want to use that as my resolution technique? I agree completely with Tim that if that's the only system you use, they know when you're going to start resolving the square. And they know if you're doing it right or wrong. And that's part of the beauty of simplicity, but it's also one of the tricks of our trade. We don't have to tell them why it's magic and why it works. But I think you have to be a little bit careful also of the body flow, because some of the things that we create of the ladies chain or the flutter wheel in that 8-chain through formation is not going to be smooth flow because of space available.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
True. One of the instructions for doing this session today was, my new dancers don't know circulates. They don't know Ferris wheels. They don't know wheel and deals. How can I use this line resolution? Mm-hmm. It's going to be very difficult. So simple has more to do with beginner dancers and early in the lessons than it has to do with how simple it's going to be for you. Yeah. And with the two-couple sight, you can call, you can sight resolve. You're not going to lines, but you don't need to. Okay?
Folks, let's give Daryl a nice hand. We've enjoyed the session. Thank you. We certainly hope that we've shed the light on some sight calling resolution methods. We hope probably while you're working this, you wish you'd have had a camera so you could have snapshot the square and knew who the primary or secondary couple were on occasion. And then you're going to take action to resolve. So lights, cameras, and action. We appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. All right.